This Tuesday edition of Pucks Across Borders, the NHL betting preview show, brought to you by the one, the only First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code SportsAddict at 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off tons and tons of cards. And with our promo code SportsAddict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. That's right. Do the math. 20 becomes 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60. You get the picture. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order, both regular priced and sales price items. This isn't Cyber Monday, Black Friday, nothing like that. This is every day. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order, regular priced and sales price items. That's firstroundcollectibles.com, the number one. STRoundCollectibles.com, FirstRoundCollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast.
Yeah, welcome to this Tuesday edition of Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live, and as always, Total Apex Sports, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. It is good to be back. Pretty solid night in the NHL. I found all three games compelling for different reasons. And it just kind of crossed my mind. I guess Dallas was 2-1, but all of them, in my head, all of them covered a puck line, but not true. Quickly corrected myself there. But the New Jersey Devils beat the Rangers 5-1. Leafs beat Chicago 4-1. And Dallas squeaks out a 2-1 victory against Utah. A game that I watched every minute of, after the Leaf game was over. But anyway, that is unnecessary to add. And Utah deserved to win that hockey game. I'm not saying that Dallas did not deserve it. Casey Smith played terrific, but Utah, I thought, was awesome. And they just couldn't get a puck in the net. But we'll get in. We got 10 games tonight to get to. But before we get into anything at all, Andre, good to see you, man. How you feeling on a Tuesday?
I'm feeling fine. Feeling good. Let's just keep it that way. Let's just keep it simple, nice and polite. I don't want to get into specifics. You already know.
You know what?
So
usually we talk to wow, my son disagrees with me. I don't like usually what we do. If you're new to the show, welcome. If you're not new to the show, thanks for coming back. Usually we do our takeaways from the night before, talk a little bit about the games, and then get into the slate for the evening. There's 10 games tonight, and I decided, in honor of my friendship with you, we're not going to get into last night at all. We're not going to talk about the Rangers, not going to talk about the Devils, the Leafs, Blackhawks, Stars, Utah. I do think Utah deserves a bit of props because I think you look at that score, 2-1, you think Dallas kind of choked them out and won. It wasn't that way at all, man. Utah, for the last 40 minutes of that game, that was almost all Utah. And they deserve to win that hockey game. I thought Casey Smith, he's been a really hot topic. I've been following a lot of Dallas Stars media lately for reasons that I can't tell you about right now. I had no idea. The media and the fan base in Dallas, they love Scott Wedgwood. They miss him and they want him back. It doesn't matter what post-game show I listen to, podcast, whatever. Scott Wedgwood, the over-under is 3.5 for times that Scott Wedgwood gets brought up. And Casey Smith has been a real issue there, apparently, in the beginning of the season. Terrific game by him last night, but I thought Utah deserved some love for that game last night. All right, Andre, before we get in, we got 10 games, whatever. I'll give you the floor. You can say no. We don't have to talk about anything. Is there anything that you want to get off your chest from last night? Doesn't have to be Rangers related. I literally just said we weren't going to do this, but I've already changed my mind. Anything you want to get off your chest before we dive into the 10 games on a Tuesday night?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. I will give 2 quick shout outs, not hockey related. First of all, shout out to Bo Nix for not getting enough fantasy points to beat me last night. I am now in a win-in scenario for fantasy football. So appreciate that. Nice 10-point dub for the boy in one of my leagues. Second shout out, kind of random, out of nowhere. I've been thinking about him lately. Well, let me not say I think about him. I don't really think about him that much. But this stumbled across my desk for the second time in a week, so I'm just going to let it out. The DePaul Blue Demons men's basketball team last year was terrible. And when I say terrible, I mean one of the worst teams in the country. They were 304th in Ken Palm's final ratings out of 300. I think there were 363 schools last season. They were 3-29. They were the Big East punching bag. Just absolutely dreadful. Anybody could have played on that team. They probably would have welcomed it. This year's DePaul Blue Demons, 7-0, 5-2 against the spread. They've already doubled their wins. They're top 100 in Ken Palm's ratings. Highest scoring team in the Big East. No other reason to shout them out other than the fact that I appreciate a good turnaround. Kudos to you guys. You were miserable for the past 2 years. Flopped out last year, and you're off to a great start this year. Might not last. These good times out there. You're undefeated. It's better than the back-to-back national champs. So kudos to you.
This is how much pain Andre is in, everybody. He's deflecting, talking about college basketball, some random school I've never even heard of in my life. This is you gotta do what you gotta do, man. You gotta numb the pain somehow, and I'm here for it. And you know that I believe in you. All right, 10 games to get into. Let's waste zero more time and let's dive right into it, starting with the Detroit Red Wings. Usually, so I punch in all the games and all the odds, and for whatever reason, I was like, I just thought, wait, did I do this? Did I properly prepare? Turns out I did. The Detroit Red Wings are in Boston to take on the Bruins. The Boston Bruins minus 176 at home. Detroit Red Wings plus 146 on the road. Minus 1.5 for the Bruins is plus 140. Plus 1.5 for the Red Wings minus 172. The over 6.5 at plus 108. And the under minus 132. Andre, what do you got? Red Wings, Bruins in Boston on a Tuesday night.
Just very surprisingly, these are 2 of the lowest scoring teams in the NHL. The Bruins are 30th in goals per game. The Red Wings are 25th in goals per game. Looking at the power plays, the Bruins are dead last. So, I mean, Detroit's is pretty good. They're actually 4th, but they're still not scoring that much. These teams have met already, 2-1 game in Detroit. The Bruins won. I like the under here. I know the odds aren't the greatest. You said your 6.5 is minus 132, you said?
6.5 under, minus 132, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I have under 6 on DK. They have it at minus 108. I'm taking either one of those for sure, just based on what these offenses have done this season, for the most part this season, based on the head-to-head history of, I say history like it wasn't 2 weeks ago, but yeah. I don't really trust. I know the Bruins scored 6 goals last time out. Do you trust them to score? Because
No.
I don't. I know the Red Wings, they scored 4 in consecutive games, but for the most part, it's either 4s or 1s with this team, it feels like. And Boston does have good goaltending, like we've discussed. Even with their struggles, they have 2 good guys back there. So I'm going to roll with the under here. as far as picking a side, don't trust either one enough to take it. The Bruins obviously don't have the greatest odds in any way. The Red Wings puck line for me is plus 170. That's pretty ugly unless you're throwing in a parlay. So I think it's going to be a 1-goal game either way. I'd probably lean towards a 1-goal win for the Bruins. Wouldn't be surprised if there was OT. I'm just going to stay away from a side and stick with the under.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm taking the under too. I think, obviously, I don't know if it was was it the last game, last couple games? Like Detroit's over. Like they've been under a lot. We've talked about this. How last year they were over all the time. Now they're under all the time. We talked about this. But the last couple games, like you said, Detroit's number has been going over. Boston, they beat the Islanders 6-3. Other than that, man, Boston's always under as well. They beat Montreal 6-3 as well. So both of these teams, as far as the season's gone, they've been under. They've been over the last couple games. I think we go back to the way it was with the unders. I think both of these goaltending tandems, no matter who's in net, have both played fairly well. I still don't. This is where I'm at with this under is I know what I'm getting from Detroit. They're not going to give up a lot of goals, usually, generally speaking, and they're not going to score a lot of goals. That's just how their season has gone. I still don't know really what I'm getting from Boston with this new coach. Like the first few games, it was 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals. Like there was nothing. And then now there's been 9 goals, and I think in each of the last 2 games, 9 goals scored. So, or at least 2 of the last 3 or whatever it is. So, I don't know what we're getting from this Boston team with this new coach, but I just think how this season has gone, I still don't really trust Boston at all, and I don't trust Detroit to score. So, not going to make it any more complicated than that. We are both taking the under. I'm on it. I just need to quickly shout out in the chat. Listen, bro, I gave him an opportunity to vent his grievances, and he talked about some school that I have no idea even what college school he was talking about. So I gave him the opportunity. He didn't take it. So you guys, you'll have to hear, I don't know, come back another day.
Yeah, I've decided that we're not going to discuss the R word today.
What?
So shout out to the DePaul women's.
Is the R word Rangers or Russian? Because I don't feel comfortable addressing this either. The Russian, like I don't know, that seems cancelable quickly.
I think I know which one he's talking about, but there's so many on the Rangers, claimed and unclaimed.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about Soviet countries, but no, we're not talking about the R word. The R word is not Russian today.
Yeah.
It's just not happening.
There's actually quite a few R words. The more I think about it, there's more R words than
quite a few R words.
All right.
Shout out to DePaul.
Yeah, moving on. Florida, Pittsburgh. So quickly about this game. I heard today on the radio that Pittsburgh, they've won 3 in a row. Are they for real? We'll find out tonight. No, we won't. They're playing. First of all, they're not for real. That's number 1. Number 2, they're playing Florida. Like, everyone loses to Florida. However, not recently. So I am curious to see how this goes tonight. Pittsburgh Penguins plus 146 at home. The Panthers on the road minus 178. Minus 1.5 for Florida is plus 136. Plus 1.5 for Pittsburgh. Minus 168. The over is 6.5 at minus 105. The under is minus 115. And already, it's only the second game of the night, and I already feel like I'm not seeing tonight's board. Like, there's this game, it feels simple. It feels like Florida minus 1.5, no question about it, but I'm a little bit stumped on this game. I'm not going to lie about it. Andre, what do you think, man? Florida, Pittsburgh.
I mean, honestly, these teams have pretty much been the same in their past 10. 4 and 6 overall, if you're just talking strictly wins and losses, but both on a 3-game winning streak after a 3+ game losing streak. So pretty much the same. If you're going to talk about what they've done on these winning streaks, this is what really swayed me. Going to make it real simple for you. Florida, they beat the Maple Leafs, they beat the Canes, they beat the Canes. Two really good teams, 3 straight wins. The aggregate was 17-4, all multi-goal wins. The Penguins, they beat the Canucks, they beat the Bruins, they beat the Flames. Aggregate, talking 13-7. Only one of those games was a multi-goal win. 3 solid teams, 3 good teams, probably, or playoff contenders. We'll leave them at that. Not as good as the teams Florida played, and not as convincing wins. If we're talking who's at their best when they're hot, or who's stronger when they're playing at their best, easily the Panthers. Keep it simple, stupid. That's my motto today. Florida Panthers -1.5 is +140. I love it. Pittsburgh Penguins, still not buying the goaltending. Their goal scoring has been fine all year, but defensively, goaltending, not buying it. The Panthers have scored 5+ in 3 straight. They're going to do it again. So Florida over 3.5 goals, Florida over 4.5 goals, and the over 6.5 for this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you overall. Some parenting real time. Go take that, Boston. Yeah, I'm with you generally speaking. I think the only thing that concerns me about this spot for Florida and with the -1.5 is the last couple games, the last 3 games, you laid it out perfectly, man. They beat a Toronto team that was on a 4-game winning streak. They beat Carolina handedly 2 games straight. And that Carolina team, they were winning every night, finding ways to win every night. They were beating everybody. I've referenced this game a couple times, being down to Dallas 3-1 with their third goaltender between the pipes. They find a way not only to win, but to cover the -1.5. So for me, Florida just beat 2 really good teams 3 times. What did you say the aggregate? 17-4? That's wild. That's wild. So to me, this kind of it doesn't scream. It is a raised voice. It doesn't scream trap game, but it's like a loud voice. You know what I mean? Raised voice, stern, if you will. That this could be a bit of a letdown spot for the Panthers. Nevertheless, regardless, my favorite bet in this game is the over. I think over 6, and I think it was 6.5, right? I literally just said it. Over 6.5, -1.5, or sorry, -105 for over 6.5. I think you said it, man. I think Pittsburgh's scoring, their scoring's been fine all year long. Their real inconsistencies have been the goaltending. I mean, you look at it, Pittsburgh, they're 2.73 goals per game, 24th. It doesn't look great, but the Penguins can still score goals. And quite frankly, the goaltending for Florida, we know who's in net with Bobrovsky. It hasn't been that good. They're 25th in the league in goals against per game. Bob, 304 goals against, 890 save percentage. His record is 11-5-1, but he's been giving up quite a few goals. And the goaltending situation for Pittsburgh, I mean, we really don't have to dive too deep into that one. So for Florida, scoring 17 goals in the last 3 games and the goaltending situation for both teams, I think the over is a really good play here. Over 6.5 at -105. I do, if we're expecting a bunch of goals, I think Sam Reinhart +125 and I think Sidney Crosby +180 are both really good options for a goal scoring. 4 shots on goal. Sidney Crosby +144. I think he's really feeling the pressure to carry a lot of the weight here. So 4 shots on goal for Crosby +144, and I like both Reinhart and Crosby to score tonight. All right, moving on to the Islanders and the Canadiens. Could not be less interested in this game. Islanders minus 132 on the road. Montreal plus 110 at home. Minus 1.5 for the Islanders, plus 194. Plus 1.5 for the Canadians, minus 245. The over is 5.5 at minus 120. And the under is minus 102. I will say this. The one thing that has me interested in this game, Patrick Laine is expected to make his Montreal Canadiens debut tonight at home against the Islanders. Do I think that makes a difference tonight? Probably not. I think obviously long term, I don't think it can be bad. It might be nothing, and he might just blend right in. But I think that is a really intriguing storyline for sure. Patrick Laine coming back into the lineup. So Montreal plus 110, Islanders minus 132. Andre, what do you got, bro? I think you're muted, dude. That's
I am muted. We're back. Yeah, we're going to look at some Islanders road games.
That's why you were muted. That's why.
Yeah. I didn't want to talk about the Islanders. I didn't want to talk about the Islanders. We're going to talk about the Islanders. Friday, they lost 5-4 in D.C. November 21st, end of a road trip, they lost 2-1 in Detroit. Game before that, 2-1 in Calgary. Game before that, 3-2 in Seattle. Those are all losses, by the way. I know I wasn't including that. It was a given. Game before that, 5-2 win in Vancouver. Game before that, 4-3 loss in Edmonton. I think you noticed the pattern. They're losing a lot on the road lately. And I know the Canadians are no world beaters, but they took this team to a shootout in October in Long Island. So Montreal, I think they have a chance here. They're plus money. I'm not afraid to fade this Islanders team ever. I know they're 9-10-6. The points aren't that bad. It's because they love OT losses. They're 9-16 if you're just talking wins and losses in a straight betting, in a strict betting sense. So I do love that. I also love the over 5.5. I understand why it's at 5.5, but it's too low for these teams. And we look at what's been going on lately. I mean, 4 of the last 5 Canadians games had at least 7 goals. They've scored at least 3 in 3 straight. They've given up at least 3 in 5 straight. They gave up more than 3 in 3 of those games. So they're giving up plenty of goals. The Islanders, 3 of their last 4 had at least 6 goals. They scored at least 3 goals in 3 straight. I know they shut out the Sabres on the 30th, but they gave up 5 goals in D.C. the day before that. They gave up 6 goals to the freaking Bruins the game before that. They gave up 4 goals to the Red Wings the game before that. We just talked about how the Bruins and Red Wings in particular are 2 of the worst scoring teams in the NHL. Over 5.5 is an absolute godsend. I'm locking it in. I think the Canadians will squeak this one out. Would not be surprised at all if it's an OT because the Islanders are addicted to that extra 5 minutes. I don't know. That 3-on-3 is really enticing for them.
Dude, it's actually crazy. Like, I don't have this at the top of my head. I know that the Islanders have lost 6 games in overtime. How many have they won in overtime? Do you have some quick way to look that up? And I would love to even know, like, I'm asking a lot out of nowhere here, but, like, I would love to even know what that number was last year. Because I honestly, dude, like, what's the over-under? Total overtime games between this year and last year. I bet you it's over 40.
Oh, way over. Didn't they have they had 15 losers points
Something
last year,
like
like that, right? Yeah. So for this year, what I'm seeing is they have 2 shootout wins, 1 overtime win, and then obviously the 6 OT losses. I can pull up last year. Oh, it loaded pretty quick. Last year, where are they? OT losses. That's how you sort of. They had 22 OT losses last year.
Okay.
10 overtime wins and 3 shootout wins.
It's over 40.
Yeah, I mean last year alone is
35. That's crazy, man.
And they're already at 9 this year.
Dude, that's crazy, man. And even like to put it this way too, in gambling context, for the game to go to overtime tonight is plus 290. This might bite me in the face here, but I'll just pick a random game. Colorado Buffalo. Let's see. It's plus 290
Oh,
for Montreal Islanders to it's plus 300 for this. So anyway, that point's kind of dissolving, but what were you gonna say?
I messed up. So I accidentally did the right thing and pulled up the stats for the combined seasons. So between last year and this year, they have 22 OT losses, 10 overtime wins, and 3 shootout wins, which is 35. That's a lot. Second place, the Canadians have 19 OT losses, 7 OT wins, and 4 shootout wins.
So they're right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And they've already gone to a shootout in October. They had an OT game in April. Talking about last season. It's the last 2 matchups.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think the over is a slam dunk, and both these teams, I know that we keep ragging on these teams. If you look at the standings, it's very, very muddled right now. You have Toronto, Florida, New Jersey, Washington, Carolina. You have those 5, and everybody else, except for, of course, Ottawa and Montreal and Detroit. Everyone else is within 3 points of each other. Everybody is right there. You got Boston, Tampa, Buffalo, Rangers, Philly, Columbus, Islanders, Pittsburgh. All of the teams.
Can't say the R word.
What's that?
Can't say the R word.
Sorry. But I can't say the R word either, because that could mean many different things. But all those teams have between 24 and 27 points. So it's maybe not that bad. However, the Islanders are tied for last in the Met right now. And what we're seeing from the Islanders is, quite frankly, a continuation from last year. And also, quite frankly, we've already talked about the Islanders way too much. So I'm taking the over 5.5 as well. I am not taking the side in this one. However, plus 290 to go to overtime, I think is a terrific bet. All right, moving on to Colorado and Buffalo. Colorado minus 162 on the road. Buffalo plus 134 at home. Minus 1.5 is plus 154 for the Avalanche. Plus 1.5 is minus 192 for Buffalo. The over is 6.5 at plus 100, and the under is minus 122. Andre, what do you got here, man? And while you answer, what do you got here, man? Should the Avalanche be favored this heavily right now? I know Buffalo's not some juggernaut, but I don't really love what I'm seeing from Colorado right now.
I don't love what I'm seeing from either team. I think I'm just going to say stay away. I might take the under. Both offenses have sucked lately. I mean, not the Buffs. The Sabres have been shut out in 2 of their last 3. The Avalanche have only scored more than 2 goals once in their past 4. Both teams have been just mediocre all season long. You never know what you're going to get from Buffalo in the first place. I'm not really sure if you know what you're going to get from Colorado at this point. Give me the under, and I'm not touching anything else.
That's interesting, man. I'm kind of with you. I don't dive into these type of stats too often. This is more your forte, not stats, sorry, props. But Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen over 26.5 saves. I really like that bet. That's minus 110. Even if the Sabres get just stomped on tonight and they lose 5-2, I still think that you can't even say Luukkonen. You have to say Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I think he still makes over 26.5 saves, no matter how many goals he gives up. So I like that bet a lot tonight. I do think Colorado will get a lot of shots on net. But I'm right there with you, man, with the under. I agree with you. At first glance, I'm slightly leaning under just because I don't think Colorado should be respected this much right now with the minus 162. That being said, Buffalo's Buffalo, and Colorado still has 3 of the best players in the world on their team. So I feel like it's a bit irresponsible to go fully on the Buffalo side of things, but I do like the under, and I like the Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen over in saves. Moving on to Seattle, Carolina. Seattle's plus 220 at home or on the road, sorry. And I'd be curious to know, maybe it doesn't make a difference, but is one of the reasons why they're such heavy underdogs the fact that they just got blasted by the San Jose Sharks 2 straight nights over the weekend? I feel like that might have something to do with it. Carolina Hurricanes minus 275 at home, minus 1.5 for Carolina is minus 110. Even money on both sides here. Minus 1.5 is minus 110, plus 1.5 for Seattle is minus 110, which to me is revealing because I feel like Seattle, they really did think that they made enough moves in the summer to be playoff contenders, not necessarily cup contenders, but they figured they would be there. Joey Decord, not one of the best goalies in the game, but very good. You can make an argument top 10, right? We could go through all the goalies right now. I feel like he would probably be in the top 10 or at least pretty darn close. But Seattle's a mess right now. I never really liked this team. I really like Brandon Montour. I think that was a really, really good signing. Chandler Stevenson still hasn't really fit in yet. And I don't know, man. I don't know. How is this anything other than Carolina minus 1.5? You got an answer? What do you got here?
No, it's Carolina minus 1.5. I mean, looking at the Kraken, they just came off, with hindsight especially, a very generous 10-game stretch to close November. They had Columbus at home. They won that one. I mean, they started it with a 3-game winning streak. Columbus at home, Chicago at home, the Islanders at home. Then they had the Blue Shirts also at home. They got shut out. They lost. They beat the Predators, bounced back. Then they went to LA, tight loss. That's acceptable. So, off to a decent start. Then they had the Ducks twice, the Sharks twice. Came away with 2 points in that. That's really the low light here. And now that they're on the East Coast, it's only going to get harder because it's a team that's been worse on the road all season. So the Canes, I know the Panthers really humbled them, but this is still a good team. This is still a team consistently scoring. This is still a team that went to Seattle in October, came away with a 4-1 win. Probably going to be higher scoring this time around. I'm not really trusting the back end for Carolina still for obvious reasons, but their offense is enough where they should easily take this one. So give me Carolina minus 1.5. I'm right there.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, man. I think, like, the more I think about it too, like, every team kind of goes through what Carolina just went through against Florida. Florida's a really good team, and don't forget, Florida, I'm pretty sure, like, they went into that week because, like, we already talked about Florida, but they beat the Leafs, they beat Carolina back to back. Before that, they lost, was it 6 out of their last 7 games before those 3? They were not looking very good. And it was a matter of time before they kind of slapped themselves in the face and woke up a little bit here. And Carolina just got the raw end of that. And on the other side of it, Carolina, they've been smacking teams all year long. Like, I was the idiot that predicted this team to miss the playoffs at the beginning of the year, and they've been destroying teams all year long. And I feel like they needed a little bit wake up as well. And furthermore, they don't have a goalie right now. Like, no disrespect to Spencer Martin, but both of the goaltenders that they went into the season. Now, if you're going into a season expecting Freddie Anderson to stay healthy, that's on you. No disrespect to Freddie Anderson. He's my guy. Loved him with the Ducks. Loved him with the Leafs. But I lived it, man. He is hurt every single year for at least a third of every single year. I don't think, what's his name? Kochekov. I don't think he's back yet. Have you seen goalies? Yeah, he is. Look at that. Kochekov is listed on FanDuel anyway. That's my go-to. If you want to know who's in net, just check the sports books. They know. before anybody else does. So he is listed tonight. So there you go. That's even more so. He's their guy right now. He is back tonight. Maybe a little bit rusty. I don't know. The over is a little bit tempting just because over 6.5 plus 110. That's a little bit tempting. Carolina has one of the best offenses in the league. They are second in the NHL with 3.79 goals per game. So over 6.5 at plus money. But, goaltending for Seattle hasn't been horrendous. They are middle of the pack in goals against. And Seattle can't really score. So one of those two things will be true tonight, maybe both of them. So the total kind of scares me. I'm flirting with that over a little bit, but I'd rather just take Carolina -1.5. All right, moving on to San Jose and Washington, where our red hot San Jose Sharks are taking on the Washington Capitals. And I got to look this up. I should have looked this up before. 2-game winning streak, 4-4-2 in their last 10. That's right, for the San Jose Sharks. Now, 4-4-2, it might not be that impressive, but for San Jose, 4-4-2, they might as well be on a 10-game winning streak. It's pretty much the same thing after the way this season started for them. But they are in Washington, who's been one of the best teams in the NHL all year long. Like I said, Washington -295, plus 235 for San Jose. -1.5 for the Capitals is -118. Plus 1.5 for the Sharks is -104. Over 6.5, -105. Under is -115. What do you got, man? Sharks, Capitals. I want to say this might be a good game, but I also kind of feel like Washington's about to lay the smackdown. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this could be a fun one. This really could with the way the Sharks are playing. I don't like you ragging on the way their season started. Need I remind you, someone boldly predicted they would not lose 10 in a row to start the year, and they stopped the streak at 9. They stopped it at 9. They got off to a great start compared to last year's standards. But no, like you said, I think it was yesterday. I don't remember. The highest scoring team over the past week.
Yep.
Week and a half, whatever.
Yep.
12 goals in the 2 games against the Kraken. They had 3 goals in the game before that. They had 7 goals against the Kings, their annual punching bags. So San Jose is finding the back of the net. And we said when Celebrini in particular is healthy, there's a little something there for this team. I know he's not the only one getting it done, but there's a spark, there's a life that wasn't there for large portions of last season. I think you'd agree with that, right?
Absolutely. They got a lot of fun talent, man. And my fantasy roster has 2 more Sharks than I thought it would have at this point in the season.
And they added a nice mix of vets and not like world beaters or anything, not going to drag the team to the playoffs.
No, I agree.
They're establishing something, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do. This Sharks team is 1 point back of the Blues. That's my good bad meter. So kudos to them. They're almost over the hump.
Yeah.
This is a bad game for them, though. I mean, Washington consistently, especially lately, scoring 5 or 6 goals in these games. Oddly enough, a lot of those were on the road. But when they're facing bad teams, they're taking care of business. That's part of the reason they have so many points right now. They're hitting the back of the net with or without Ovi. It's hard not to imagine this being a smackdown just because Washington's earned that respect and they've beaten better teams lately, and they've beaten better teams by multiple goals lately. The Panthers 4-1, Vegas 5-2, Colorado 5-2. Those are all within the past 10 games. So I like the over in this one just because what the offense is doing lately, but I think the right play here has to be Washington -1.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I want to give a shout out to somebody. Okay, so I was thinking about this today because I was thinking about the show, thinking about, okay, what are our takeaways going to be? And we decided we're not really going to talk about takeaways and we're just going to whatever. But I was thinking about this, okay? So every year is pretty much the same. You got, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, you have Kucherov, you have McKinnon. Those are all top 5. And, Pasternak's up there, whether it's goals, assists, points, whatever it is, all right? Connor McDavid's been hurt for parts of this year. Same with Austin Matthews. The top 10 in points. I want to quickly run down this list, all right? Kirill Kaprizov, which, if you watch the show at all, you know how much I love this guy, how underrated I feel like he's been, and it's great to see some love go Kaprizov's way. Then you have Martin. How do you pronounce his name? Martin Nikas? I don't know, Nietzsche's. I always mess this up.
It's Nietzsche's. You were about to say something I don't think you wanted to.
I agree with you. I think I was going down a dark path. Nietzsche's. Martin Nietzsche's. 37 points. So Kirill, 38. Nietzsche's, 37. Jack Eichel, 36. Of course, Nathan McKinnon, 36.
Yeah.
Jesper Bratt, 35. That's where this came into my mind, was Jesper Bratt had a big night last night. And I was like, oh, interesting. He is 5th, all by himself, 5th in points at 35. Then you have Sam Reinhart, 34, Rantanen, 34, Kucherov, 34. Tied for 6th, Dylan Strome of the Washington Capitals. And I know that he did a lot of his damage when Ovi was healthy and in the lineup. I get it. But for Dylan Strome to have 34 points, tied for 6th in the NHL league, only 4 points back of the league leader, I just find that really impressive, man. And I'm really pumped for this guy. He's came into the league with a lot of hype, and he's been okay. And it really feels like this year is his coming out party. He's found a really good spot there with the Capitals and with Ovi. Understood. Ovi's not in the lineup right now, but still a really big year for Dylan Strome. And I just want to give him some props because I think it's huge when you see a player who's been in the league for as long as Strome has to have a breakout like this. I think it's really cool. So that's a little side note. I'm right there with you, though, man. I'm taking the Capitals -1.5, and I don't think we need to think too hard about it. I will say, though, man, anything celebrating-wise, prop-wise, I'm here for. I think he's definitely one of the better rookies that we're seeing so far this year. Tyler Toffoli, same thing. Zetterlund, same thing. Like, they got some players who are really cashing in on the prop market. So don't count out betting on San Jose. There are ways that they can make you some money tonight, but I am taking Capitals at -1.5. All right, moving on. 4 games left to get to. The first of which, the Vancouver Canucks in Minnesota for what's going to be a really good game, I think. Like, I don't know if this would be considered the game of the night. I'd have to kind of go through it, but I feel like this is a really strong matchup. -1.5, or sorry, on the money line, -142 are the Minnesota Wild, +180. Wow, I'm really messing this up. What do I got? Minnesota Wild, -142. Vancouver Canucks, +118. -1.5 is +172 for the Wild. For the Canucks, +1.5 is -215. The over is 5.5 at -106, and the under is -114. What do you got, man? I feel like Minnesota wins this game, but I feel like this is a sneaky good game tonight.
This should be a great game, and honestly, I understand why you're taking Minnesota. I mean, they've been better for the most part this season. They're on a 3-game winning streak, but I love this Vancouver team on the road, and 10-2-0 away record. I'm going to stick with it. I like the +118 here. On this road trip they're on currently, they scored at least 4 goals in 4 of the 5 games. You look at Minnesota, the offense kind of lagging lately. They haven't reached 4 goals in 5 straight games. They only scored 2 in regulation against Nashville, 3 against the Blackhawks, 1 against the Sabres, 1 against the Jets, 3 in an overtime game, or I guess a shootout loss to Calgary. So scoring's kind of washed away for them. Not that they're awful per se. But it looks like a game where you're going to need 5 to beat the Canucks right now, and I don't think they have that in them. So I'm going to take the over. I love the over. Hopefully, it's not as chaotic as last year's matchup in Minnesota where it was 10-7. But
That's
I
right.
think Vancouver has another 4 or 5, maybe 6 in them tonight, just with the way they've been rolling when they're in a hostile environment, and the Wild just don't have that right now.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. I feel like either way you bet this game as far as the side goes, I do feel like the under is the play here. Philip Gustafson is confirmed in this game. Kevin Lankinen is unconfirmed. On dailyfaceoffs.com, dailyfaceoff.com, he is listed, but it's unconfirmed. So you know how I feel about this. If Shelovs is in net, you pivot whatever Vancouver bet you're about to make, you pivot it. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is right now. Lankinen, if he's in net, I think it's an under all day. And I am leaning Minnesota. I don't love the -1.5. I don't love the -142. And I don't really love the 60-minute line either. I don't really love any of the odds to bet the Wild. However, if Lankinen is in net, I do really like that under. I do think that is the play. Once again, under 5.5 is -114. The 5.5 obviously is a little bit nerve-wracking. I do want to see here a bunch of these. Where is it? Alternate totals. Yeah, under 6.5 is -186. So that's kind of showing you what Vegas thinks about this game. So under 5.5, I like it. It's a little bit nerve-wracking getting that 5.5, but that is my favorite bet in this game. All right, moving on to St. Louis and Winnipeg. Another game that I'm kind of curious to watch. This will be the game, for the most part, that is on my TV tonight. I love watching Winnipeg play. I'm excited to watch them play tonight. And St. Louis, we watch all these teams. We watch all these games. I have yet to watch St. Louis with my own eyes with Jim Montgomery behind the bench. I haven't seen it yet. I'm interested to see what it is. Feels like Vegas is telling us with these odds that it doesn't matter. Who cares? New goalie or new coach, doesn't matter. Winnipeg -225 at home, +184 for the Blues on the road. -1.5 for Winnipeg is +116. +1.5 for St. Louis, -142. The over is 5.5 at -120, and the under is -102. Andre, what do you got here, man? I find it interesting. +184. I know St. Louis hasn't been great, but they've been a lot better with the new coach behind the bench. +184 seems a little bit long, but I'm curious to see or to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I know I know the Jets, have fallen on hard times. They've been a better team at home this season. We'll see if that, their recent slump carries over into home where they're 9-1-0. But if you're looking at the Blues, I mean, they changed coaches after an embarrassing loss to the Islanders. They're on Broadway. They beat that team 5-2. Great start. They face a good Devils team. They win 3-0 again on the road. They go back home, face a hot Flyers team. They lost, but it was an OT loss. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. They tied it with 20 seconds left. They fought to the end, and you only allow 2 goals. That's always a good thing. So this Blues team is playing pretty well lately, especially at stopping pucks. Even in the Islanders loss, it was 3-1. The last one was an empty netter in the final minute. The game before that was a 3-2 shootout win. So they're keeping teams in check. And if you're going to only allow 2 goals, so you're going to have a chance to win every game. And at the very least, you're going to be within a goal. The odds are good that you're going to be within a goal. So I like that St. Louis +1.5. I have it at -135. For a puck line, for an underdog's puck line, not the worst odds at all. They're actually pretty decent. And with the way they're playing, they're just a middling team. very competitive number for them. And the Jets aren't exactly playing the best hockey right now. So I'm taking that +1.5 for how much I love that team.
Yeah, you do love the St. Louis Blues and the city of St. Louis in general as a whole. I'll say this, and I know it's, if you watch the show this season, even last year, I'm a big Winnipeg fan. I'm a Leaf fan, but you know what I mean. Like, I really like this Jets team. I like watching this Jets team. Just the drama of the Winnipeg Jets over the last few years. Made it to the conference finals in 2018. Kind of been middling around for a little bit. Last year came out of nowhere, had this great year. You remember last summer, before last season started, Hellebuck out the door. Scheifele out the door. They're blowing everything up. Pierre-Luc Dubois is gone. Blake Wheeler's gone. This gone, blah, 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 blah. Hellebuck and Scheifele both signed for 8 years. They're there for a good portion, if not their whole careers, for a good portion of the rest of their careers. I just really love what I'm seeing with this Winnipeg team. Going back last year, we're all a little bit tainted of what we feel of the Jets because of the fashion in which they were eliminated in the playoffs, right? The best goaltender in the league has one of the worst playoff series of any goaltender last year, and they get annihilated in 5 by the Avalanche. I think the Jets come back with a vengeance tonight. I think they win by -1.5. Once again, I might be a little bit blinded by my love for the Jets. I will say, and I like the Blues more than you do. The thing is, though, Hofer, he is in net tonight for St. Louis. 4-3 on the season, 323 goals against, 899 save percentage. Hellebuck is in net for Winnipeg. That alone is enough for me. I know that the Jets have lost 3 in a row. They've lost 6 of their last 10. They're still third in the league in goals, 376. And the Blues are 29th in the league in goals at 2.48. I like what I'm seeing from the Jets in general this year, and I think they make a bounce back and they win tonight by at least 2 goals, that -1.5 at +116. The other thing about this game tonight, and we've talked about it this year, I am fascinated by the top of the Central. Like, this whole division, I really find fascinating. Minnesota, Winnipeg, 36 points. They co-lead the division. Technically, Minnesota is first based on winning percentage. They've also played 1 less game than the Jets have. Dallas, though, they're up there now. They have 32 points. They won last night. They don't play tonight. They play the Kings tomorrow. If Minnesota and the Jets both find a way to lose tonight and Dallas wins tomorrow, all of a sudden this is a brand new division as far as the top goes. If one of those 2 teams win tonight or both of them win, then they just kind of carry on ho-hum. But I'm really curious to see the Jets. The Wild have had a really good year, and we'd be talking about the Wild more if the Jets didn't or haven't had the season that they've had so far. That being said, the Jets had this division, and I know it's a long year, but I feel like if they lose tonight and the Wild win, it's not slipping away, but you know what I mean? It's just like you're all of a sudden in the passenger seat, and I do think that this is important to them to keep the momentum. Obviously, they weren't going to go, 16-1 every 17 games for the whole season. But I am curious to see how they bounce back tonight. They've had a tough 3 games, and I think that they win tonight, and I think they win by at least 2 goals. All right, moving on. 2 games left tonight. The Columbus Blue Jackets are in Calgary, and if you say, Marc, Andre, didn't you just talk about this game? It's because we did. They played last week. Columbus goes on to win 5-2. Calgary now at home, -125, Columbus is plus 104. We talked about this with when you were having Thanksgiving and Sean was on the show. We talked about it. They had a really warming the word is escaping my mind. They had a ceremony for Johnny Gaudreau at the beginning of the Columbus-Calgary game last week. Rumors been out for a while now that the Flames have a really, really special ceremony planned as well for Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew for tonight's game against Columbus. So that puck drop, I believe, I just want to double check this, that puck drop is at 9:10. If you at 9 o'clock, step away from whatever game you're watching, whatever you're doing, and watch that ceremony, because I think it's going to be really special. And this is obviously something that we're going to remember for the remainder of the season. So that, just to get that out there, you hate just being reminded of it all the time, but it's going to be a special ceremony tonight ahead of the Calgary-Columbus game. For the game itself, Calgary minus 125, Columbus plus 104, minus 1.5 for the Flames is plus 184, plus 1.5 for the Blue Jackets is minus 230. The over is 6.5 at minus 102, and the under is minus 120. We talked about this yesterday and which teams we think are going to stay, which teams are going to go. I really do like Calgary, but dude, Columbus, 2 points back of the playoffs right now. They're playing well. I can't remember exactly. They are on a 2-game winning streak, 6-3-1 in the last 10. They are scoring 1 million goals every night, and they're giving up a bunch too. What do you see, Columbus, Calgary? Do you think Calgary bounces back from their 5-2 loss to Columbus last week?
Yeah, I do, actually. I know Columbus, they've won 5 of 6. The only loss was an OT loss. They scored 3 goals in that one. They're lighting the lamp like crazy. But we talked about the Flames at home. They're just a better team, flat out. There's this dichotomy, this Jekyll and Hyde going on with Calgary when they travel versus when they're in their own barn. Add to that the fact that Columbus kind of struggles on the road. They're 3-6-2 on the road this year. It's going to be a special night for Calgary, as you just mentioned. They need to snap this losing streak. Obviously, I think everything works out here for a Calgary win. I think it's going to be high scoring. Their PK does concern me, especially against this Columbus team that's scoring like nobody's business. But their save percentage at home, 929. Special teams, power play, and PK are both better. They're just sound defensively. They're especially in their barn and handling business, and I really like that. I know the money line is minus 130. That's good enough to take on its own. I'm going to get a little greedy and take the 60-minute line at plus 110, though. I feel very confident in this Flames team to not only get back in the win streak, but do so in a pretty comfortable fashion. Maybe Columbus, scores one late to get rid of that puck line. I think that's the only thing stopping me from taking that. But I do feel very strongly that Calgary will bounce back with a win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Calgary to win as well. The concerning thing for me, Vladar is in net. He hasn't been awful. Dustin Wolf does give me that extra little bit of confidence. But Vladar on the season, pulling this up, 4-5-3, 287 goals against, 900 save percentage, even. The only thing I disagree with you on this game, though, is the total. I feel like if, just based on what we've seen from Columbus, more so than anything to do with the Flames, I feel like if the Flames win, I feel like the under hits. That's just kind of how I feel about it. It feels like whenever Columbus wins, they score 6 goals, which is 100% true. But whenever they lose, they really don't score that much. And I feel like it's an under 4-2, 3-2, 3-1, something like that. I do think that Calgary wins this game, and I do like the under. If anyone was curious, on FanDuel, minus 125 for the Flames. Minus 120 is the under. plus 216, putting those two together. I do like that play. Also, Nazem Kadri, 3 goals in his last 5 games. He is plus 195. Where is it? Man, the anytime goal scorer list on FanDuel is short. I don't know what it's like over there. But
How short are you talking?
there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 9 players on this list.
Nah, I got a full roster.
Because Werenski, dude, 12 points in his last 5 games, 8 assists, 4 goals. He's been lighting it up, man.
I have plus 390 for any time goal scorer. If you're talking about Werenski.
Yeah, that's spicy. He's been the biggest threat offensively in the last week and a half, which is pretty remarkable. But as a defenseman, as a Columbus Blue Jackets defenseman, that is pretty wild. But I like that bet. I like Kadri to score. I like Flames to win, and I like the under. All right. If you don't think Vancouver, Minnesota is the game of the night, then this is probably the one that you do think is the game of the night. The Edmonton Oilers are in Vegas. Minus 132 are the Oilers. Plus 110 are the Golden Knights. Don't know what I'm missing. Minus 1.5 for the Oilers is plus 184. Plus 1.5 for the Golden Knights is minus 230. The over 6.5 at minus 110. And the under is the same. Andre, last game of the night, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Edmonton, Vegas. What do you got?
Yeah, really good game. I am pretty surprised by these odds. I don't know if you are too. I understand Vegas is injured as always, but I like this team at home. I'm going to keep betting this team at home. It's really that simple for me. They already beat Edmonton 4-2 in Alberta. They're looking to bounce back from a rough loss. Second half of a back-to-back, though. They got some rest from that. This is still the Golden Knights team that's 9-3 on their home ice. This is still a team that thinks they're a strong contender in the Western Conference. And it's not like Edmonton's been very convincing this season. Yeah, they've actually been good on the road, but just not really an impressive start, an impressive string really for most of the season. So 3-game winning streak for the Oilers comes to an end tonight. Vegas Golden Knights come out on top. They beat the Oilers for a second time this season. Give me that plus 110. I don't need to look at a total for this game because I like Vegas to win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Vegas wins this game. Unlike you, though, I'm really interested in this total. I think the 6.5 minus 110, I'm really interested in this, and here's why. Goaltenders for tonight on FanDuel, Stuart Skinner and Aiden Hill are both in net. Both of them have the ability to be very good. Both of them have the ability to be a little bit soft. Aiden Hill, 10-4-2. The record is there. 285 goals against average, pretty good. 894 save percentage, sub 900. Then you have Stuart Skinner, 8-6-2, 309 goals against, 887 save percentage. As a whole, let me just see here. As a whole, 15th are the Oilers in goals against, 18th are goals against for Vegas. Vegas is 7th in the league in goals per game. Edmonton is 17th in the league in goals per game. We know what this team can do offensively, have been difficult for them to hit their stride. What I'm curious about right now, Connor McDavid is buzzing. 5 goals in his last 5 games, 10 points in his last 5 games. Bouchard has really started to come on offensively. He has his liabilities defensively for sure, but offensively, Bouchard's really started to come around. Both these teams just have a very easy time scoring, and both these teams, the goaltending has been really suspect so far this year. To to me, I find this over really fascinating. I think there's a reason why it's even money on both sides, because Vegas is basically saying your guess is as good as mine. This could go either way. I do really like the over here, 6.5 at -110. I do like Vegas to win, but I like the over more. I just think whoever wins this game, it's 5-4, 4-3, 5-3, whatever it is. I like the over, 6.5 at -110. All right, moving on to our best bets, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off tons and tons of cards. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular price items, but sales items as well. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use promo code Sports Addict for 10% off your order. Promo code Sports Addict for 10% off your order. Firstroundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles. Sports cards for sports fans. Andre, what do you got as your best bet on this Tuesday night? By the way, our best bets last night, dude, over 6.5 Rangers Devils, 5-1. 2 points for Austin Matthews or more. He had a goal. On the ice for the empty netter, but didn't get it. And Dallas came through for us. But those other two, bro, we were right there. Right there. Which is the story for the season, which basically means when you say it was right there, what you're really saying is we're due. So.
That's right. It was just, it was annoying because, Matthews had the first goal of the game. Yep. Didn't pick up a point the rest of the night. The Jersey against New York, that game was 5-1 entering the third period. Over easily could have cleared before it even got to the third period, but it was 5-1 entering the third period. You need one more. Neither team scores. I don't even think the home team started the period with the power play. I don't think there was any. I don't think the rest of the way there was no even special teams play. So just annoying all around. We really got jobbed last night, but it's okay because I'm dipping back into the over tonight. And I'm going back to a tri-state team. Islanders, Canadians, over 5.5. It's just been speaking to me this whole time. For one, the possibility of overtime, it's very high. It's an extra goal. If it's, I guess 3-3 would already lock it in, 2-2 wouldn't. So maybe my math isn't as good as I thought. But these teams played already, 4-3 final in the shootout, over the total, bang. 3 of the last 4 for the Islanders, over the total, at least 6. They allowed 6 goals against the Bruins, 5 goals against the Capitals in those games. The Islanders have also scored at least 3 goals in 3 in a row. The Canadians, 3 straight games over the total, 4 of their last 5, not over the total, but at least 7 goals scored. They've scored 3 or more goals in their last 3 against the Bruins, 3 against the Broadway Blue Shirts, 4 against the Columbus Blue Jackets. They allowed 6 last time out. They allowed 4 the game before that, 3 the game before that, 3 the game before that, 6 the game before that. I understand why it's under. I said this earlier, but the over is the right play here. It's too low. Give it to me. Over 5.5.
Absolutely love it. I'm right there with you. For mine, I literally just said it. I'm not going to break it all down again. Andre's bet we talked about like an hour ago. Went back through it. I literally just said it. So I'm going to leave it here. Over 6.5 Edmonton, Vegas. I love this over. Both of us like Vegas to win, but I love this over. 6.5 at -110.
Family time. Family did win yesterday. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. I feel like the family wins often. I feel like it's you and me, our own picks. The family picks are the ones that the family picks always come through. We disagree on the Blues, Jets. We disagree-ish on Vancouver, Minnesota. We both like the Flames. We both like Capitals -1.5. Both like Carolina -1.5. The rest of the games we agree on, but I don't feel great about. What do you like here?
You telling me you don't feel great about the Sabres? Oh,
No, I don't.
well, I was thinking
Surprise.
Carolina.
Okay.
We both really like Carolina -1.5, so I'm thinking that one.
And I mean, what kind of a world do we live in where I trust San Jose more than Seattle? Because I feel like this is comparable. Like San Jose versus Washington, Seattle versus Carolina, two Eastern juggernauts. And yes, I do think that the Capitals are juggernauts. I do. That's where I'm at with it. Seattle, San Jose, both at the bottom of the conference. And I would rather bet against Seattle than San Jose. That's just how I feel. Love it, man. For me, over on FanDuel, over 5.5, Islanders Montreal -120, over 6.5, Edmonton Vegas -110, Carolina -1.5 at -108. What do you got? Oh, plus 574.
Oh, I have plus 579.
Oh, hey.
For the green and black brand.
Yeah. You did it.
Tight one.
Good for
Tight
you.
one.
That must feel good.
Thank you,
Get that
thank
off your chest.
Do I get FaceTime? Is this around the horn?
Yeah. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Everybody, thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. We appreciate you. Good luck on your bets tonight. Enjoy the games. We will be back tomorrow. The last couple of days, we've been on around 3:30. We will be back again tomorrow. We will get into a more consistent time. Stay tuned. Figuring some stuff out, but we will get more dialed in on a consistent time. But until then, we'll be back tomorrow around this time, I believe. So yeah, good luck on your bets. Thank you again for tuning in. Shout out to First Round Collectibles, promo code SportsAddict, 10% off your order. Shout out to Total Apex Sports. Football. Not even full swing, man. Final stretch of the NFL season. The NBA, full swing. Lots and lots going on over in Total Apex World. So check out totalapexsports.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, see you next time.